Hey everyone, welcome to the free Angular 4 QuickStart tutorial. This is Shree Malik from .sway.com. Please like and subscribe for instant notifications. So in the last video, we installed Angular 4 CLI, created a project and strings, and compiled and run it. Today we'll be taking a look on Angular 4 main structure, see how Angular 4 works, create a component, and see how components work, and then use Directive for binding. So let us start. Let's start with the Angular 4 application and the structure itself. Angular 4 consists of components, services, modules, directives, and dependency injection. So let us start with components. While building single-page application, components are the main building block. Imagine it that way. You have a website that has a header, side menu, and content. You can create each of them by different components, which will make it easier for you to reuse them, or edit them, or even different teams to work in a different components in a big project. Services. Services simply it's a piece of code which will be used more than once. So it's placed in a service to be injected later on inside different components. For directives, it's an instruction code. We give it to the DOM, part of the browser. For example, ngF as a directive. It's a directive which we can use it to say if user or if a certain condition is true, show this picture, for example. If not, show another picture or don't show pictures at all. So that's a directive. Also, components are directives too, since they are used in Angular for instructing the DOM what to do. They are directives with templates. Dependency injection, if you have a piece of code or class which depends on other code, for example, if you are building an application for a bank and now you are creating an account section component, this section will depend on the login service and it will use only part of just that method from it. So in Angular 4, you can inject your dependency by providing its name in the component that you will use in the dependency in. TypeScript. Since Angular 4 is JavaScript framework, we can use plain JavaScript or TypeScript. For anyone who does not know what a TypeScript is, it's an open source language which first developed by Microsoft, and now it became very popular. And for modules, I consider modules as organizing feature. Inside an Angular app, you have components, services, and directives. Module is like a container for those. You can have different modules which each going to have different components and directives. So let us take a deep look into components. So I will start by creating a new project inside the folder that we've created last time. So I'm going to use ngNew for new project, and then I'm going to call it maybe QuickStart Part 2. And I'm going to pause the video because this is going to take some time, and I'll resume when it's back. Okay, so for the information, the ng took about 4 minutes to create the new project. Now let us take a look on component files. I'm going to open Sublime, which I use, and open the folder that we just created. Then under source file, under the app folder, we're going to find the main 4 files that make a component. So let us take a look on them. The CSS is which is responsible for styling the output of the HTML or whatever code you are going to output on the browser. The HTML, it's where you're going to write all the HTML code. And the TS file, this is the TypeScript class file which you will write all your component code in. I'm sorry, that's the spec. I was talking about that file. So this is where you're going to write all your code in. For the spec TS, it's only a testing component file which is used for unit testing purposes. So it's not essential. Even if you delete it, still the app going to be running. That's it. That's the main 4 files that you need for a component. So let's now check how does the Angular work from the back. So let's run the service first and do ngserve. I have to go inside the project first. So it's QS P2 and then you do ngserve. Now it's going to start by saying what is the port number that you will be using while doing the local host. So it's saying here 4200. So that is the one we will be using. So let's go to localhost and the 4200 port. And it will be showing AppWorks. But from where AppWorks came from, if you go here to the index.html, the main file, you're not going to find that. You're not going to find that AppWorks. So from where did it come? Since Angular is component based, it came from that component, the only component that we have. But how did it come from? Where did it come from? If you go to the HTML, it's saying the title. And it's between parentheses, so it's reading from somewhere. If you go here to the TypeScript, it's going to say like title equal AppWorks, okay? But then here comes the magic thing, it's called the selector. So from the selector it's called AppRoot, and inside the index it's reading the AppRoot. So it's replacing this part with the HTML of the component. So this is how you connect the component to the main index, HTML. So now let us imagine that we have an application which will have a header, which is the main component, and search results. And we want to have the search results from a new component. So let us see how we can create a new component. Let me break first the running of the serve. And you go like ng, G for generate, and C for component. And I'm going to call this component search results. Okay, so it did create for us all the main 4 files that we've talking about. Okay, so now let's start again. And by the way, we noticed like there are 5 files, not 4, because the 5th one is just updated, and I'm going to show you what is that. So let's search here, and we're going to find like there is a new folder for organizing purpose, and it has the new component, and it's called search results. And inside it there are all the 4 files. So you know already what is the CSS, what is the HTML, and what is the TypeScript, and that is the main component. And you can see the name of the component, it's app search results. Okay, so what did it happen to that app module? Simply it did import the new component to the main app. Okay, so now let us start by changing this to header. So this is going to be the header part. So we have here the header. Then we go to the app component HTML, which we have, and we want here to have the results. So how are we going to have the results from the component? Yes, we're going to get it from the selector. So it's called app search results. Let's save it. And we got it now. So now we have two components in that single page application. And this is how Angular works with several components. You can have a lot of components for the same application. So I'm going to add here also an input for a username, for example. I'm going to make the type as text, and let's name it whatever, like username. Okay, so now you can type here your username, and then I'm going to put here like I want like hi. I want here to have the username here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to bind that input box with the username. Simply we're going to use a directive which is called ngModel. So we'll be using the parentheses. No, I'm sorry, we're going to use the brackets. ngModel. And then we're going to make it equal to username. But is it going to work that way? No. Why? Because we need to put the username here between parentheses, right? So let's try it now. So hi, Mike. So now it's working. So as you can see, we created a component and we added the HTML that we want in the main component, and we called the new component by using those selector HTML tags. That's it for today, guys. We've learned all about the Angular 4 architecture and how to create a new component, how to do the binding, and until we meet again, bye.